Hey, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be looking at something pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a combo of IELTS,
Okay.
prep,
Yeah.
and a little bit of wilderness survival.
Yeah.
And the unexpected lessons we can get from that.
That's intense. I'm ready.
All right, so we're going to be pulling from a couple different sources. We've got a YouTube video from IELTS Shelf.
Okay.
They're all about helping people get like a band 8 or 8.5 on the IELTS.
Right.
And then we're also going to be taking a look at this National Geographic video.
Okay.
It's Running Wild with Bear Grylls, the challenge.
Oh, wow.
And the featured guest is Troy Kotsur.
Oh, okay. I know them.
Yeah, so he's,
Yeah.
an amazing actor, won an Oscar.
Yes.
And he happens to be deaf.
Right.
So it's a really interesting kind of a juxtaposition here. We've got this very like academic,
Yes.
English language proficiency exam. And then we had this guy out in the wilderness, in the Scottish Highlands with Bear Grylls trying to survive.
Right. How to communicate.
Yeah. How do these things relate to each other?
I'm curious.
So that's what we're going to be exploring today.
Okay, let's do it.
So to kick things off, IELTS Shelf, they have a lot of good tips in this video. And one of the things that they really hammer home is this idea of like mastering natural English,
Okay.
right? It's not just about like textbook English.
Right.
It's about really sounding like a native speaker.
Right.
And I thought that was really interesting because you think about it, like if you were to go into like a job interview or a university lecture, you wouldn't use this very stiff, very formal language.
Right.
You would speak the way that you speak to your friends or your family.
Yeah.
And so they're saying, you really need to be able to adapt your language to the situation.
Right.
And I thought that was a really good point.
So like slang and idioms and like,
Oh, yeah. All the little filler words and everything.
yeah, like, and,
Yeah, exactly. And I think this ties in really nicely with Troy Kotsur's experience because before he learned sign language, he actually learned to communicate through visual storytelling.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like Tom and Jerry cartoons
Okay.
were really helpful for him to kind of understand how narratives work and how to communicate.
Wow.
And so it kind of highlights this idea that we learn language best by engaging with the world around us.
Yeah.
Not just by like sitting in a classroom and reading a textbook.
Memorizing grammar rules.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
And IELTS Shelf is actually a really big proponent of that as well. They talk a lot about active listening and active reading techniques.
Yeah.
So it's not just about passively, listening to something or reading something.
Yeah.
It's about actually engaging with the material.
So how do they recommend doing that?
Well, they talk about things like note-taking,
Okay.
summarizing,
Yeah.
looking at word usage in context, like how is this word being used
Yeah.
in this particular sentence or in this particular article.
Right. Yeah.
And then kind of like analyzing it and trying to figure out, okay, what does this really mean?
Yeah, like being a detective.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And it made me think about, Troy Kotsur trying to communicate with Bear Grylls
Oh, yeah.
out in the wilds of Scotland.
Huge communication challenge.
Huge communication challenge. They don't share a language.
Right.
And so they're really having to think outside the box.
Be creative.
Yeah, how can I get my
Yeah.
message across? How can I understand what he's trying to tell me?
Right.
And it just kind of reinforces this idea that communication is about so much more than just words.
It's about intent, context, really trying to understand
Body language.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Absolutely.
Another thing that IELTS Shelf talks about is this idea of like approaching the IELTS as a journey,
Okay.
not a sprint. And they really emphasize the importance of consistent effort and a genuine love for the language.
Right.
And this really resonated with me because when you look at Troy Kotsur's story, he's all about embracing challenges.
Yeah. He seems to thrive on it.
He sees challenges as opportunities for growth.
Right.
And I think that's a really powerful mindset shift.
Absolutely. Instead of dreading it, you look forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like instead of dreading the IELTS, it's like, okay, this is a chance for me to really deepen my love for the English language and to develop skill that will benefit me far beyond the exam.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And speaking of mindset, IELTS Shelf also talks about the power of visualization.
Oh. Okay.
So they're basically saying,
Visualize yourself succeeding.
yeah, visualize yourself walking into that test room feeling confident
Right.
and prepared and knowing that you're going to do great.
Oh, that's cool.
And it made me think about, actors preparing for a role.
Yeah.
It's like they have to really immerse themselves in that character
Yeah.
and feel those emotions.
Yeah.
And project that confidence.
So it's almost like acting.
It is.
When you go into the IELTS,
It is.
like you're playing a role.
Yeah.
The confident English speaker.
Exactly.
Love it.
So what if we could all kind of channel our inner
Yeah.
Troy Kotsur
Yeah.
and walk into that IELTS speaking test with that same level of like presence and just,
Got this now.
it's all about that mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
It
that.
is all about mindset.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But this is really just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
We're going to be diving deeper into IELTS Shelf's tips and strategies.
All right.
And we're going to be exploring more of Troy Kotzur's incredible journey on Running Wild.
Can't wait.
So stay tuned.
All right. And another thing that I really like about IELTS Shelf is that they're not just focused on like the exam itself.
Right.
They really seem to want to like make learning English fun
Oh, yeah.
and engaging.
So they've got this whole platform, with all these free resources like book reviews, podcasts. They do these really cool deep dives into like complex grammar structures or current events.
Okay.
And they always do it in this way that just makes it so accessible and enjoyable.
So it's not just about like drilling vocab and grammar rules.
No.
It's about actually appreciating the beauty of the language.
Yes, exactly. And they don't shy away from challenging material either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they're not afraid to get into the nitty-gritty,
Okay.
but they always do it in a way that's like really engaging.
So they're not dumbing it down.
No, not at all.
They're just making it more accessible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I really appreciate is their emphasis on pronunciation,
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
because that's often overlooked in traditional test prep.
Yeah, for sure.
And, pronunciation can really make or break how well you're understood.
Especially in the speaking test.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So they've got all these tips and techniques like, how to master individual sounds, intonation stress patterns.
It's like they're giving you the tools to fine-tune your accent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Make it really shine.
Yeah. And they also provide like practical vocabulary and expressions for common IELTS speaking topics,
Like what kind of stuff?
like ordering food at a restaurant or making plans with friends or talking about current events.
Oh, okay. So it's like they're giving you a head start on those tricky situations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing that really sets them apart is that they cultivate this real sense of community among their learners.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. Learning a language can be a lonely journey.
It can be. Yeah. Especially if you're doing it on your own.
Exactly. So they encourage their viewers to subscribe, to leave comments, to suggest topics they want to see covered.
It's like a virtual study group.
Exactly. Yeah. And it just creates this really supportive environment.
Yeah, where everyone's kind of in it together.
Yeah, exactly. And they really emphasize that it's okay to make mistakes.
Right.
It's okay to struggle. It's okay to ask for help.
It takes the pressure off.
Yeah, and that actually ties in perfectly with Troy Kotzur's story.
Oh, how so?
Well, throughout his life, he's faced countless challenges,
Right.
but he's never let them define him.
He's always pushing himself outside of his comfort zone.
Exactly. Yeah, like on Running Wild, he's doing all these things that are completely new to him.
Right. He's rappelling down cliffs. He's eating weird bugs.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just embracing it all.
He's got that bring it on attitude.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just so inspiring to see.
It's a reminder that growth comes from pushing those boundaries.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So before we jump into the next part, let's just quickly recap what we've learned so far.
Okay, so we've talked about some practical strategies for achieving a band 8.5 on the IELTS, thanks to IELTS Shelf. And then through Troy Kotzur's journey on Running Wild, we've also uncovered some really powerful lessons about communication resilience.
And the importance of embracing challenges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's amazing how these two seemingly unrelated sources actually complement each other so well.
It's like they were meant to be together
Yeah. It just goes to show that learning can pop up in the most unexpected places.
if you're open to it.
Exactly.
All right. So we've talked about a lot of really cool concepts here. Natural English embracing challenges,
Mindset.
mindset visualization. But let's bring it back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
How does all of this translate into actually getting that 8.5 on the IELTS?
Well, the key takeaway, I think, is that it's not just about like memorizing vocabulary or grammar rules.
Right.
It's about understanding how the language works in real life situations.
Okay.
And that's where immersing yourself in natural English comes in.
So podcasts, news, movies, TV shows, it's all fair game.
Oh, absolutely. But the key is to engage actively.
Okay. So I can't just like passively listen to a podcast in the background.
Right, exactly. You need to be like really paying attention.
So like taking notes, maybe summarizing the main points.
Exactly, yeah. Or if you're watching a movie,
Yeah.
pay attention to the actor's pronunciation, their intonation, even their body language.
No, it's a good point.
Yeah, it's all about like absorbing those subtle nuances.
Okay. Yeah, it's like turning your leisure time into a sneaky language learning opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that. And IELTS Shelf also talks about the importance of active reading.
Okay.
So don't just skim the surface. You need to really dig into the text.
Ask yourself questions as you read.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, what's the author's main argument?
Yeah.
How are they supporting their claims?
How do all the ideas fit together?
Right. It's all about that critical thinking.
Okay. And then there's the writing section.
Oh, yeah. The dreaded writing section.
You need clear structure, complex sentences, minimal grammar errors.
IELTS Shelf really stresses the importance of practicing with actual IELTS prompts.
Yeah, get familiar with the format, the expectations.
Right, because it's not just about the content, it's about how you present your ideas.
Like the flow of the essay.
Exactly, yeah. Do your sentences flow logically? Does your argument build smoothly?
Okay, and don't forget to seek feedback.
Yes, find a teacher, a tutor, even a friend who can give you some honest feedback.
Yeah, fresh eyes can be so helpful.
Absolutely.
And then there's the speaking section.
The one everyone gets nervous about.
Fluency, coherence, vocabulary range. Minimal hesitation. It's a lot to handle.
IELTS Shelf's advice: practice, practice, practice.
Record yourself answering those sample questions.
Listen back critically.
Are you speaking clearly at a natural pace? Are you using a variety of vocabulary?
Right. And remember, the more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become.
And don't forget to breathe.
Yes, visualization and breathing, those are your secret weapons against test day nerves.
And it all comes down to confidence.
Absolutely. If you walk in feeling prepared and you believe in yourself, it'll show.
So to wrap things up, achieving an 8.5 on the IELTS, it's challenging, but it's totally doable.
Yeah, it takes targeted strategies, consistent effort, and a genuine love for the language.
But remember, the IELTS is just one step on your English learning journey.
Exactly. The skills you develop preparing for this exam will benefit you in so many ways.
It's about opening up a world of opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's a final thought-provoking question for everyone.
Ooh, like it.
How can you weave English into your everyday life, even after you've aced the IELTS?
Keep that momentum going.
Exactly. Yeah. Join an online community, read English books, watch movies without subtitles.
The possibilities are endless.
The more you integrate English into your daily life, the more natural it will become.
So keep practicing, stay curious, and most importantly, enjoy the ride.
Well said.
So that concludes our deep dive into the world of IELTS prep and unexpected life lessons.
We uncovered some great tips from IELTS Shelf, and we found some really inspiring parallels in Troy Kotzer's journey on Running Wild.
It's a reminder that learning can happen anywhere. And with the right mindset and a bit of determination, we can all achieve incredible things.
Couldn't agree more.
Till next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing those boundaries.
See you next time.